So 7 weeks.
Oh, yeah, okay. That was 14 years ago.
Yeah.
This one, I'm glad was asked. How do you plan to combat the corruption of our elected officials here in Deltona?
You know, I was going to talk about this tomorrow a little bit. Remember I talked about Missouri? I've had some that have approached me with concerns, and I pretty much meet with everybody. I tell Eric, he calls me, this person wants to meet with you, schedule it, let's make it happen, right? And I've met with candidates and concerned residents, people concerned about the water, which is going to be here tomorrow. I hope we have enough room. I hope we participate. I'm worried that we may have enough room. I'll just specifically talk about, I'll reference that to the Deltona water issue, if that's okay, and then or expand if somebody wants me to. There were some accusations made about the Deltona water thing and calling for the audit, right? That's what it is. And we have an audit committee in the legislature that looks at cities. And pretty much, you know, when we see evidence of corrupt behavior, finances, different things like that, then the audit committee then engages. And in most cases, they find something, right? In most cases, not all. Because typically staff will do some preliminary analysis to see for the committee, and then they get engaged. So if it goes to the committee and it's going to have a hearing, probably 9 times out of 10, there's something there, because they've already done their due diligence. So when I met with the folks, I said, well, tell me, listen, and I'll talk a little about the water, because as Anita mentioned, I fought this water battle, and I raised this alarm years ago. And Jamie, you remember my slogan? When I left the commission, I left with one line. Jamie, you remember that line?
I'll be back. Yes.
No, that was the other one.
Hang on to your wallets.
Hang on to your wallets.
Oh, yes, I am leaving.
When I left the commission, I said it right there, hang on to your wallets, folks, because they're coming for it. I ran for mayor, if you may have followed years ago. We made a special flyer. I made big signs about the water issues and talking. And I got mocked that it wasn't going to happen. I didn't get no traction. I didn't run for mayor. I didn't win mayor, thank God, because I went to the state, right? Everything happens for a reason. That's the way I believe it, right? So I was already there. So when the folks came to me and they said, you know, this is happening, corruption, you know, those are pretty strong words, right? And I know, because I love this city, right? In order for me to call for a audit of my city, you know the impact that has statewide, right? It's huge. And I'm not trying to play up that I'm some big dog or something like that. My office represents something, right? I'm one of 160 people out of 19 million, right? That's how many represent the state of Florida. For me to say, call for the audit, I am saying that my city's corrupt, right? So I have to be from Missouri. And I made it very clear, show me, right? I don't like the water rates. I really don't. I fought them. I hate what's happening to people with sewer. I was talking to someone earlier about their neighbor, right? I don't like what's happening there. I raised that alarm. So those are policy differences is what they are. So when it comes to such strong accusation, from coming out of my lips, calling from that, it's a big bullhorn across our state. And that, if I get it wrong, that has the potential to hurt our city for years to come. Because, and guess who hears that? It's not just us here that are fighting for different things, right? Investors here. People that were thinking about, you know what? Do I want to buy that lot right there and put a small plaza? Investors don't like risk. They don't like uncertainty. They want stability. So I want you to know that I don't discard it lightly, but I understand that the impact of my role is very significantly different by making that accusation. So the folks that are out there, they decided to do it their own way. And I applaud them, because Eric got engaged with them. And what we did, what we could do, is to ensure that the process that's there for citizens to then work and bind together to make this happen can successfully happen. So we got engaged with the folks in the organizers, say, we want to make sure that the state process for you to accomplish what you want to do is working for you. So they have been talking between state offices and stuff like that to make that happen. Now, I have reached out today. I don't know if you talked to her yet. Have you, Eric?
No.
Okay, so we're getting ready to reach out to her and to find out how close they are, right? And the decision that I made today was, if this is within the cusp of just almost a few more signatures happening, right? If it's real close, I don't mean 5, 10, I mean hundreds of thousands maybe. It's going to happen. I'm going to then reach out to the city commission and the city manager and encourage them, just get it done. If you have nothing to hide, right, which is what I've been told, take the step forward, put out that olive branch, find out a way to get done what the community of the constituents have been signing this ballot to do, to get it done so we can move our city forward. So I'm waiting for Eric to get a hold, what's your name? Dana. To get a hold of Dana to find out where they're at. So please understand that, I'll wrap that question with just saying that my role is very significant from the perspective I have to be very careful what I say, because it has some long-term damaging impacts, potential to our city. And our city, it's too important to me to just lightly give that away. Okay? Yeah. Any other questions?
All right. Will you help us shut down the West Volusia Housing Authority? Hospital Authority.
I talked a little bit about that. I've been very critical lately of them. You haven't seen me on Facebook. If you ever see me on a message Facebook, folks, give me a couple days because I'm not a Facebook junkie. I don't do it every now. I'm not saying that's a bad thing for anybody, right? I'm busy, so I'll probably look at Facebook maybe once a week. Eric tries to stay a little bit more on top of it. He's like, hey, this person sent a message. We had a young man send us a message like on a Friday night, and then Saturday morning he's already saying hello. I'm like, Jesus, right? It's like I'm right there alerts. But the hospital, West Volusia Hospital Authority, the two others are doing a fabulous job, folks. And what I went and spoke publicly in front of the West Volusia, and I said, why don't you guys find out how they're making it happen? Because they're still taking care of indigent care on the east side, right? And their tax rate has been going down. So there's something wrong. Forget about ego. Throw that out the window. Let's find out what works for them. I met with the CEO of the hospital that's coming up over here, Jeff Fiesel. He and I talk often. I applaud the man. He took some strong courage to build that building there in Deltona. He knew he was going to take heat as the CEO. And I can't tip my hat too much because there's things in negotiation. That hospital is going to be a really big deal for Deltona, folks. There's more to come as it pertains to that. I know this is legal battle. You may have read in the paper where I called out Nancy Epps from the east side because she's the one that's been delaying this issue and causing all of this millions of dollars in lawsuits against the Halifax Authority. She tries to make it look like she's the face of the lawsuit. There's been over $1 million spent on both sides. Nancy Epps, and I said this in the paper, ain't spending $1 million to fight Halifax of her own money. What's happening, and I said this in the paper also, there's a hospital war going on. And I get angry with them because I know the other side. The real culprits, and I told them, I see them in Tallahassee all the time, the real culprits of that battle is HCA, which is the Sanford Hospital. The Sanford Hospital is the one, their entity, their corporate entity is the one that's causing all the friction for this hospital here. And I've asked them, drop the suit, because we're going to keep this hospital here no matter what. I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure that this hospital stays. I called the entire delegation when all that's here. So we're neck deep in that. But the hospital authority needs to be reformed. I laughed because I haven't said this publicly yet. But we are in the process of considering changing their charter. I think there's a different word for it. The enabling legislation. Thank you. We're in the process of considering changing their enabling legislation to trim their the wings a little bit because they're flying a little too high. So we want to bring them back to that 10,000 feet. Not that there's a role to play to take care of others, right? But the payer mix has changed drastically. The way hospitals make money has changed drastically. So it can be done. So I love the opportunity to meet with you and talk to you more about it. So I don't know if we're ready to close it, but we certainly can reform it strongly so that the tax rolls start to go down. Then we look and see where it is for the future. Long answer, sorry.
And final question. How can residents support you when there's evidence that you lied to law enforcement regarding an incident with Patty Gibson while she was exercising her constitutional rights at the center owned by Deltona City?
Oh, I'm glad that question got asked. First of all, I'm going to be blunt as I can be, but for being respectful. The facts. I never spoke to law enforcement. Never had the opportunity to talk to them about that incident. What happened that day was a statement that I wrote not an affidavit. Again, people that make all kinds of accusations say I signed an affidavit. Never was an affidavit. It was a piece of paper where I wrote what I seen and what I was told by other guests that day. All right? Here, so I'll briefly go through the scenario. I've never met Pat Gibson before. So that day was one of the many days that I volunteered here, sometimes up to midnight, with my grandson. So I got to give him a little shout out, Matthew, setting up tables and doing different things for several hours of volunteering we did here, because I love my city. And certainly, it helped the fact that my wife was here late, so I was either going to be here or at home alone, right? So I volunteered quite a bit here. And so that day was Mother's Day brunch, I believe is what it was. And I was volunteering, carrying coffee mugs and running back and forth and whatever we needed, kind of sort of back and forth. And I seen this lady we'd never met before. Okay? And then I'm standing over there and I see, hey, what's this all about? I'm not afraid of confrontation. So she was sitting next to Tom Burbank at the time. Well, I know Tom Burbank, so I'm like, hey, great. She's sitting next to a friend of mine who I know. So I went up to the table and said, hey, Tom, how are you? Good morning. And they say, oh, this is Pat. And I say, hey, Happy Mother's Day. I don't know if she's a mother, but I said Happy Mother's Day. This is polite, right? And I say, hey, what's going on? And I say, hey, I see your video. What's going on? And then Tom starts explaining, yeah, she has some concerns. And I'm like, hey, what's up? And she started talking about licensed contractors, I think is what it was. She goes, oh, this city is, I'm trying to be dramatic. I shouldn't be. I'm sorry. It's serious topic. But this city is rabid with unlicensed contractors doing this and this and that. We need to stop it. I'm like, you know what? I acknowledge that's a problem. But I also told her that's not only just a problem for Deltona. Don't think that that problem is unique to Deltona, that Deltona is allowing this behavior more than any other city. Because as being in the state, I hear from things that happen everywhere across the state. That is a huge problem throughout the state and not only the country. And we have processes in place, right, to try to crack down. And maybe we could do a better job, right, to crack down on licensing. She was very passionate about this cause. And my next words were, hey, why don't we have a meeting? I'll show you my text message, and Eric might still have it on that same day. Because facts are important, folks. I always ask you got an issue, call me. I have no secrets. I'll show you my text message. I said, why don't we have a meeting with me and you? Let's meet in my office and kind of diffuse this today. And let's talk about it. I'll hear whatever grievances you have. And if anything that I can do, I'll be happy to help because it is a problem. And she said, yes. I'm like, great. So I'm like, I think right there. Sunday, I bother Eric all hours of the day sometimes when I think of something. I send him a text. Boom. You got it? He replied, okay. I think he replied pretty quick that time. One of the few times he replies quick. And conversation done. Great. We'll see you soon. Eric will call you on Monday. We'll set up a meeting to meet. I'm done. I'm going back to walking with coffee cans and picking up plates and whatever it is. So probably about 20 or 30 minutes later, I'm walking down this hallway, which you may have seen in the video, yeah, if you've seen it. And I see her. So I walk out the door. Hey, what's up? And I think she asked me for some licenses. And I'm like, I don't know, Pat. I'm just volunteering. I don't know nothing about licenses, right? So then I walked away. What you don't see in the video is another interaction where I think I was going to the restroom. And what you don't see in the video also, during my time inside the ballroom, people know who I am. I had multiple people come up to me and express concern. What is going on? What is that lady doing? That's what they said. I'm like, I don't know. She wants a video. And they said, I don't like this. I came here to enjoy Mother's Day. I don't feel comfortable, whatever. So I had unrelated folks express those concerns to me. I can't do nothing about it. I may be the state, but I can't tell the city what to do, right? So I'm like, I can't do anything about it. So later on, I'm going to the restroom, and I see Pat again with her video, and she comes up to me and asking me again about the license. I'm going to the restroom, and I said, she like, and I'm like, I don't know nothing about licenses. I'm a volunteer here. I can't do nothing more at that point, right? And so I seen what I thought was unreasonable behavior. Folks, that's my opinion. You can disagree with me. I think you have a right to ask for any record that is not subject to exemption of public records. I think you really should be treated in that way. My operations are different. I don't agree. Well, they probably turn off lights. They're letting me know. But this is an important story. Right? Tell Lucinda to give us 2 more minutes. Or 3 more. So at that point, I said, there's nothing I can do. And I went to the restroom. And that was the end for me. Up until I seen some of the folks. Now, I know some folks have made accusations that I called for trespass. Let me give you just a secret. I don't have that authority. I have no authority over this building. 0. Think I'm a state representative that I have the authority? I don't. I just don't have the authority. I was asked to give a statement of what I seen and what happened during that time that I was somewhat a part of it. That is it. That is the end of David's story in this drama that's playing out. All right? And that, my words to God's ears as a witness, as to my participation. I'm sad. You know me. I mean, I'm human, right? And you kind of see that, you're like, that's not what happened, right? But when you engage, one thing as an elected official, and many of us who are successful, you'll learn, when you engage in that arena of what's called the social world, you never win. You never win. That is my biggest advice I can give you. What I encourage you to do is get engaged with the individuals that have the concern.
Can I ask a follow-up question on that? So, are you in agreement that the city of Deltona, or no public officials should use the law enforcement to shut up their critics?
Well, of course. Of course.